You think you're being respectful. You think waiting, being patient, asking her softly shows how much you care. But there's the brutal truth most men never want to hear. Every time you hesitate, every time you ask for permission, you kill a part of her desire. Why? Because fail attraction doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in tension, in mystery, in the presence of a man who moves with silent confidence. And if you're not that man, if you keep asking, is this okay? Can I? When will you be ready? You are slowly turning yourself into her little brother, not her lover, not Herman, not the one she craves. I know that sounds harsh, but if you stay with me through this video, you're going to understand why this shift is everything. Before we dive into 6 unspoken triggers that silently ignite a woman's desire, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button if you're serious about mastering this part of your life. Smash that like button if you've ever felt stuck in that confusing. She likes me, but not like that zone, and drop your city in the comments below. I read every single onion. It blows my mind to see how many men around the world are waking up to these truths. So, let's get back to the story, because what you're about to hear flips the entire dating script upside down. 1. She doesn't want intimacy. With weak men, you think she's rejecting intimacy, but what she's actually rejecting is you. Not your looks, not your job, not even your jokes. She's rejecting the energy you carry when you try to get close to her. Here's the truth that most men never want to face. A woman doesn't say no because she's not ready. She says no because your presence doesn't stir anything in her. You're being polite. You're being nice. You're trying to make her comfortable. But comfort doesn't turn her on. It earns her trust, maybe even her respect, but never her desire, because a woman isn't drawn to a man who makes her feel safe in a platonic way. She's drawn to a man who makes her feel something. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a woman daydreaming about the perfectly polite guy? She might praise him. She might say, he's such a good friend. But the man she fantasizes about is the one who carries an undeniable spark, an edge of it. Keeps her guessing, keeps her slightly off balance in the best way. That's why 95% of guys fall apart. They confuse politeness with masculine. They think being good, patient, agreeable, endlessly understanding will eventually get them in her bed. But here's the harsh reality. Every time you walk on eggshells, suppress your desire, or wait for her to make the first move, you are sending one message loud and clear. I don't believe I deserve this. And if you don't believe you deserve her, why holds she? A woman's body is wired to respond to masculine clarity, to intention, to presence. She is not fantasizing a booth guy who whispers, "Is it okay if I kiss you now?" She's fantasizing a booth man who makes her heart race before even touches her. That man doesn't lead. He doesn't apologize for wanting her. He owns it silently, confidently, and without shame. But let me be brutally clear. You can't fake this. You can't memorize lines. You can't mimic some alpha male routine you saw online. Because if your energy is built on anxiety, shame, or neediness, she will feel it. No matter how smooth your delivery is, women don't respond to your words. They respond to your truth. And if your truth is weak, fearful, desperate for approval, she will sense it instantly. She might smile. She might even text you back. But deep down, she's already filed you away under. Nice guy, but no texting. You know this story already, don't you? You take her out, you pay for dinner, you compliment her, you don't push anything. You're thinking, I'm doing everything right. But every time you try to get close, she says, let's take it slow. Or worse, she disappears, and the next week she's with some guy who didn't pay for dinner, didn't ask permission, but made her feel something. Does that sting? Good. It should. because this is the moment most men either wake up or keep repeating the cycle. She doesn't want intimacy with weak men. Not because she's cruel, not because she's shallow, but because weakness doesn't activate her instincts. She wants to feel the heat of your presence. The kind of energy that says, I want you, but I don't need you. And the second you embody that truth, everything changes. 2. Stop asking permission. Lead or lose. Every time you ask a woman, can I? You think you're being respectful, but here's the truth. You're not being respectful. You're being unsure. And uncertainty is the fastest way to kill female desire. Imagine this. You've built the vibe. You're laughing, joking. The tension is thick in the air. She leans in closer. Her eyes lock with yours. Her lips part slightly. She's right there. And then you ruin everything by asking, can I kiss you? Is this okay? Do you want me to stay over? What she hears isn't permission. What she feels is hesitation. And once that tension breaks, the attraction dies instantly. Because women don't get turned on step-by-step instructions. They get turned on by energy, by presence, by a man who moves, not waits. Now, let's be clear. This is not about being pushy. This is not about being forceful. This is about masculine leadership. It's about being so in tune with the moment, so rooted in your own desire that your presence says everything without needing a single word. Women don't want to guide you. They want to feel guided by you. And if you make her do the emotional heavy lifting, I fear constantly checking in like a boy seeking approval, she loses interest fast. Here's what nobody teaches men today. Attraction is reactive. She doesn't logically decide to feel desire. Sherax. To what you project. If you project calm confidence, she leans in. If you project doubt, she backs off. If you overthink every move, she goes cold. And here's the kicker. Most of the time, she was already ready. She had already decided. She was waiting for you to lead, but you killed the spark by questioning yourself. That's why emotional grounding is non-negotiable. A grounded man doesn't wait for permission. He reads the moment. He trusts his read. And if he moves and she says no, he respects it, but he doesn't collapse. Because rejection doesn't shake a man who's in control. It gives him clarity. Scenario 1. You're at her place. Thea is charged. She's close. She's giving every signal. You lean in and whisper, is it okay if I kiss you? She pauses, smiles politely, says, maybe not yet. Boom. Moment gone. Scenario 2. Same setting, same closeness. But this time, you don't ask. You hold her gaze. You lean in with presence, not pressure. You don't speak, you don't beg, and she follows. That's the difference. In one, you doubted yourself. In the other, you trusted your energy. And that energy is everything. A woman isn't waiting for the right words. She's waiting for a man who can feel the moment and own it. Because the man who doesn't need permission, the one who moves without fear, the one who leads with calm certainty, that's the man she remembers. That's the man she wants again. So stop asking for permission like a nervous teenager. Stop seeking safety inside her approval. Because when it comes to female desire, the law is simple. Lead or lose. 3. Female desire is silent, not logical. She said she wasn't ready, but she hooked up with someone else a week later. Sound familiar? You did everything by the book. You listened. You waited. You were respectful, patient, emotionally available, and in return, she gave you silence. Or worse, her body to someone else. Why? Because we're listening to her words instead of reading her desire. Here's the cold truth most men never learn. Female desire does not follow logic. It follows emotion. It follows sensation. It follows energy. She might say she wants a good man. Stable, attentive, sensitive. But who does she actually feel desire for? The man who gives her tension. The one who challenges her comfort zone. The one who doesn't explain himself, but makes her feel something in her body, not her head. If you haven't understood this binno, let me spell it out clearly. A woman doesn't sleep with a man because it looks good on paper. She sleeps with a man who moves her internally. You could have a checklist of everything she claims to want, but if she doesn't feel that spark, you're just a friend. This is why nice guys lose, not because they're wrong, but because they believe a logic will earn them love. They think if I behave correctly, if I wait long enough, if I tick all the boxes, and desire will magically appear. It won't, because female desire is irrational, primal, wordless, brutal. She could look you in the eye and say, I really like you. You're such a great guy. While Herberty is pulling her toward the man who says nothing but carries power and insolence. There you sit, confused, thinking, but she told me she wasn't ready. No, brother, she wasn't ready for you. Not because you're bad, but because you didn't activate anything inside her. Here's the part that stings, but also sets you free. You don't need to understand her logic. You need to understand her desire mechanics. Unseo, stop chasing her approval. Once you stop taking her words as a roadmap, once you stop explaining yourself and start embodying your power, everything changes. She starts leaning in. She starts feeling pulled. She starts getting nervous around you in the best way. Why? Because now you've stepped out of logic and into magnetism. Think of it like this. Desire is not a checklist. It's a force when you walk into the room with unshakable energy. She feels it before you open your mouth. It bypasses her brain and goes straight to her body. That's why she can't explain it. That's why she might say, I don't know what I guess about him, but I just can't stop thinking about him. It's not about looks. It's not about money. It's not about words. It's about presence. Second of presence that makes her question her own comfort. The kind of silence that screams louder than any compliment. That's how desire works. It's no turned. It's awakened. 4. Your masculine energy speaks louder than words. You think it's about what you say, the right words, the smooth delivery, the respectful tone. But let me tell you a secret most men ever hear. She already felt you. Before you spoke, your mouth talks, but your body screams. And if what you say doesn't match what you radiate, she shuts down instantly. You say you're confident, but your eyes avoid hers. You say you're grounded, but your shoulders are tense. You say you're masculine, but your entire energy is screaming, please like me. And women feel that. They might not explain it in words. They might not even know why they lost interest, but they absolutely feel it. Because female desire doesn't respond to her lines. It responds to a man's masculine frequency. That raw, unfiltered energy that either awakens your instinct or puts her to sleep. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most modern men have buried their masculine energy. They've been told it is dangerous. They've been told it makes women uncomfortable. They've been told to hide it, restrain it, tame it. So what do? They suppress it. They replace desire with politeness. They perform emotional correctness, hoping it will be enough. And then they wonder why nothing clicks. Why they're always the sweet guy. Why she says, I feel safe with you, but never aroused. Brother, she's not turned off by your desire. She's turned off by your fear of it. Because here's what you haven't been told. Women don't fear a man who desires them. They fear a man who is ruled by that desire. The man who chases, begs, collapses the second she pulls away. But when you can feel desire without being desperate for her response, when you can stay in your masculine, fire without losing composure, you become magnetic. She feels it in your presence. Not because you said anything explicit, but because you radiate something she cannot ignore. It's a silent charge, a low-frequency tension that lingers in fear, the sense that this man is fully in control of himself. And if she chooses to step into that energy, she knows it's going to be unforgettable. That's not aggression. That's not dominance. That's mastery. Your masculine energy is not a problem. It's sire power source, but only if you know how to direct it. And that means stop pretending you don't feel desire. Stop hiding it behind over-talking or safe body language. Stop asking her to validate what you should already own. Instead, make eye contact without flinching. Speak slowly like you're not in a rush. To prove anything, stand insolence and let her feel the weight of your presence. You don't need to tell her what you want. She already knows, Dot. And here's the beautiful part. If you've done the inner work, if you're no longer needy, if you're no longer ashamed of your masculinity, she'll start feeling things she hasn't felt in a year. Long time, Dot, not because of your words, but because of your energy. 5. A man who doesn't react excites her. You think showing emotion makes you more attractive, more real, more authentic. But here's the cold truth. Every time you overreact to her behavior, you lose ground, you lose presence, and you lose her desire. Because what turns her on isn't your emotion, it's your emotional control. Let's play this out. Shadowson texts back right away. You panic. She posts a story with another guy. You sprawl. She acts cold, distant, confusing. You chase harder, trying to fix it. You think you're being attentive. You think you're fighting for connection. But from her perspective, you've just shown her you revolve around her emotional weather. And that is not masculine. That is not attractive. That is reactive. A woman can only feel safe and turned on around a man who is grounded, unshakable, not easily manipulated by silence, mixed signals, or subtle games. Because whether she admits it or not, every woman tests us, man consciously or not to hurt him, but to feel his depth, to see if he is truly rooted in who he says he is. And every time you react, you fail the test. React with jealousy, you look insecure. React with over-pleasing, you look weak. React with anger, you look unstable. But when you spend with calm, or better yet, when you don't respond at all, you flip thepower dynamic, because now you're the only observing. You're the one choosing. You're the one she can't figure out. And guess what happens next? Curiosity, tension, attraction. Because here's the paradox. The less you react, the more she does. When you stop dancing around her moods, when you stop validating Mary, post every move, every subtle tone shift, she starts noticing. She realizes you're not like other men. And that bothers her in a way that excites her, because now she's not in control. Now she doesn't know what you feel. Now you are the mystery. And mystery is irresistible. The rarest kind of man is one who stays centered while fueled, and the woman tries to pull him off balance. He doesn't chase reassurance. He doesn't beg for answers. He doesn't try to control. What isn't this? He simply observes, moves when necessary, walks away when it no longer aligns. That level of inner strength, rare, dangerous, hot. So, if you're the kind of man who breaks down over one unread message, who stalks your social feed for clues, who gets emotionally rattled at every cold reply, understand this. You're not exciting her. You're exhausting her. But the man who doesn't flinch, the one who keeps building his life with or without her, that's the man she secretly can't stop thinking about. Because no woman wants to emotionally babysit a man. She wants to feel his power by how little he needs her. Reactions to define his worth. So Bethet man, the one who doesn't chase, Theon who doesn't over-explain, the one who doesn't react. Because that silence, that stillness, that unshakable self-rust, that's what makes her lean in and whisper to herself, who is this man? And why can't I stop thinking about him? 6. Make her suggest it first. Here's our hard pill to swallow. If you have to ask her for intimacy, you've already lost Beccaus the moment you ask. You shift dynamic from desire to negotiation. And nothing kills desire faster than making her feel like she's doing you a favor. Now, don't misunderstand this. This isn't about being passive. It's about setting the stage so perfectly that she feels it was her idea all along. That's the trick. Because when a woman feels like she chose you, when she feels like she crossed the line, Desiree doesn't just flicker. It explodes. But when she feels pressured, cornered, or talked into it, she shuts down. Firmament dies. Most men kill the mood with words like, "When is something going to happen between us? I like you too much. Can't wait anymore. Wouldn't you like to spend the night with me?" Those aren't seductive. They're suffocating. They leave no room for mystery, no tension, no space for her to feel pulled in. They turn intimacy into an obligation. And obligation is the enemy of attraction. Here's the truth most men never hear. A woman gets turned on when she feels like she gave in to something bigger than logic, not when she was convinced by a sales pitch. So, how do you flip the script? You create the space, not with words, but with energy, with presence, with emotional tension that doesn't ask, doesn't beg, doesn't need. Picture this. You're at her place. She's relaxed, but watching you. You're in it rushing. You're not pushing. You're just present. You sit in silence, calm, composed, unfazed. Your eye contact is steady. Your voice is slow. Your body language is relaxed but alert. You don't ouch too soon. You don't ask, "Can I?" You simply are. And the more comfortable you are with that tension, the more uncomfortable it becomes for her, not toked. That's when she leans in. That's when her body betrays her logic. That's when she whispers things like, "Are you always this calm? I feel different. With you." Your dangerous double quotes translation, that she feels it. She's opening the door. Here's a scene that happens more often than you'd believe. You're sitting there, not making a move, just radiating presence. And then she bites her lip. She shifts closer. She lowers her voice and asks, "Are you going to stay a little longer?" Boom. That's the moment. That's what you created. Not by talking, not by asking, but by being. She made the first move. Not because you pushed, but because you pulled her into your gravity. That's power. Understand this. If you need to verbally convince her, it means the energy isn't strong enough. But when the energy is thick, when the room vibrates with unspoken charge, when she's swimming in curiosity and tension, that's when she initiates. That's when she crosses the line gladly, because she feels safe, because it wasn't forced, because it was her choice. And women crave that kind of psychological freedom. So don't push, don't chase, don't negotiate. Instead, master the art of creating. Silent tension. Become the man whose energy speaks louder than his mouth. Because when you do, you'll never need to ask again. Desire isn't asked for, it's provoked. Let's wrap this up with one final brutal truth. If she doesn't feel it, your asking won't help. Because female desire is something you unlock with permission. It's something you provoke with presence, with confidence, with restraint, with mastery. You don't beg for intimacy. You create the conditions that make her crave it. And when you get this right, you'll never again sit there wondering what went wrong. Because you'll stop chasing validation and start commanding. Attention. Remember this. She doesn't want intimacy with a weak man. She doesn't get turned on by approval-seeking energy. She doesn't feel desire when you ask, "Is this okay?" She feels desire the moment you walk into the room. When you speak with clarity, when your eyes meet hers without flinching, when you say nothing because your presence already said everything, that's when she starts pulling you in. That's when she leans closer. That's when she makes the move. Not because Yao took her into it, but because Yao awakened something inside her that no words could ever reach. So, if you're tired of being invisible, tired of being the guy she likes but never truly wants, it's time to stop performing, stop chasing, and start becoming the man she cannot ignore. You don't need better pickup lines. You don't need more romance. You need to build the kind of masculine presence that makes her melt without a single word. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt like you ruined the moment by asking too soon? Have you ever felt her energy shift and you didn't know why? Drop it in the comments below. I read them all. And your stories help other men realize they're not alone. And if you're serious about mastering this, if you're ready to become the man who doesn't beg, but naturally attracts what he wants, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, because what's coming next will change how you see women forever. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and stop asking. Start radiating.